You are watching Limited Resources Draft Series on MTGO Academy featuring Marshall Sutcliffe.
Hey guys, Marshall here from Limited Resources doing another cube draft. This one on MTGOacademy.com. And this is always fun. You know, we get to do crazy, stupid stuff in cube usually. And what's crazier or stupider than Griselbrand? I mean, that is my question to you. We can take a look at the rest of this pack and see some fairly powerful stuff, but nothing really on this level. Mirari's Wake is very, very strong. Thundermaw Hellkite's a nice curve topper, you know, in a hyper aggressive deck. But I think Griselbrand is just the windmill here, as it's just so powerful. And since we get him early, we can try to figure out how to actually get him into play. All right, what do we got? What do we got? Ooh, some good stuff here. Geez, very, very powerful pack. There's a Sword of War and Peace, which is fine. You know, for the most part, the swords in general are just quite good. You know, they have varying power levels. Sword of War and Peace actually isn't one of the most powerful ones, but it's totally good and totally playable. There's a Vindicate. There's an Opposition. Also, an Underground Sea catches my eye, and Sphinx's Revelation sometimes is a thing, but I'm actually just going to take Opposition out of this pack. It doesn't really go well with our first pick, and they might be at conflict with each other, which I'm totally fine with. One of the cool things about Cube is that there's so many powerful cards, and you end up with so many playables that, like, I could just rip up Griselbrand here and just, it doesn't matter. Like, I didn't lose any, you know, lost very minimal off of that, and we can just sort of move forward with an opposition type game plan here. And we've got some nice cards that play into that game plan if we do want to do that. Boreal Druid, I mean, it's okay, right? It's like one of the worst elves because it just makes colorless, but still it's an elf. And it can help power out opposition, and then of course it works well with it. Also, there's my favorite Magic card ever, period, Mana War. And that's a card that I like the different artwork than this, but I still like this art too. And this is blue, and I could just take it and be pretty happy with that. And I think I'm going to here. Oh, good for you. That's impressive. Very nice, sir. All right, so where do we want to go from here? Well, we've got a few different fun directions to go. Una's Prowler would be our second black card, and it goes well with Griselbrand because we do need to get Griselbrand in the graveyard, theoretically, if we're going to cast him. Or we could take Sakashima's Student, which is blue and goes with our other two blue cards pretty nicely here. I'm going to take the Student here. I'm not convinced that we're going to be playing Griselbrand yet, and I want to kind of make sure that the way is clear before we figure it out. Not a lot in this pack, really. I like Chainer's Edict okay. I like Yavimaya Coast. Not a huge Strangleroot Geist fan, but it does do work. I think I'm going to take the Edict here just because it might be on color. All right, now we're in business. Now we're talking business. Animate Dead? Yes, please. So we are going to need to find a way to get rid of Griselbrand. But in the meantime, I'm going to pick up another nice reanimation target with Terastodon. Ulamog, one of the more powerful cards in the cube, period. Not a great reanimation card, unfortunately. We need to kind of ramp into it or find a way to cheat it into play. But there are ways to do that. The question is, how much do I care about Hypnotic Spectre? The answer is probably not a ton. I will just go ahead and gamble on Ulamog here. And here's the pack that we opened. I can take a Blood Crypt here if we plan on splashing. I can take a Nezumi Shortfang to help shore up any type of control mirrors that we end up in. I'll just take a Blood Crypt in case we want to change around a little bit. Here, I think I'm going to take Bane of the Living. Deadbridge Chant is interesting. We could kind of go off, but I'm just going to take Bane of the Living because Kind of serves two good roles for us there. Grave Robber, Kakusho, Sky Swallower. Oh, these are all fine. These are all perfectly fine. I'm going to take the Grave Robber here because it works well against us, and also just because it's a 2-drop creature. And right now we have 3 sort of non-creatures up here, and then we have a couple of creatures down lower. Ding. Got there. That's a nice pickup. So Ulamog currently not making the cut, but everything else is. Yeah, this could be sweet. This could be a really powerful deck if things come together for our next one. Nature's Claim. I guess we could take an Etched Oracle, but I'm going to hide it for now. What does this do? Oh yeah, this is a another discard outlet. Not one of my favorite ones to run. I usually find I don't need it, but there's a chance that we do. You know, like I love to pick up, you know, Liliana of the Veil is a high pick for this type of deck. Well, there's a lot going on with it. It's interesting because we picked up some really quality blue cards, really top tier stuff here, especially opposition, but I haven't really found a way to abuse it yet, which I think is interesting. But it looks like we're going to keep on that same path here. So we've got options, but Control Magic is jumping out to me as probably the best one here. Liliana Vess, we can target ourselves to get our fatties into the yard, which isn't too bad, but it's not exactly the cleanest way to get that done. We've got 2 great evoke creatures over here. Hopefully one of those will come back, or the ultimate price. But I'm going to take Control Magic just because I think it's the best card there. That's why. I know it's kind of a boring reason, but Control Magic is so powerful. All right. This was going to be a tough choice, but I don't think we really have a choice at all. So I was going to take Frost Titan. I've talked about it before, but I love the Titans in the cube. Love them. The main reason why I love them is because they go right into a deck like this, where sometimes you just cast Frost Titan for 6 mana and it's just amazing, and other times you reanimate it and you get it a few turns early and it's great there too. They operate right in that middle ground where, like, I'm never really casting these guys. I might cast a Grizzlebrand, but even then probably not. But Frost Titan's very castable. All of that being said, I feel like we're doing pretty good on reanimation targets, and we need, this is, you know, in the top 3 reanimation spells in the cube. Animate Dead's up there as well. Actual Reanimate is a good one as well. This one's pretty good too. So things are coming around for us nicely. There's a Sword of Body and Mind, which doesn't really go great into this deck, but kind of is just awesome on its own. Like, we do have creatures. Like, sometimes you just go Una's Prowler, Sword of Body and Mind, hit you. Like, that happens. That said, there's a few other options here. There's a Diabolic Servitude or a Vidalcan Shackles. Wow, this is a tough pick. I mean, if we pick up Diabolic Servitude, we've got Necromancy, Animate Dead, and Servitude, so we're just basically completely set up on the whole Reanimator plan. What are we giving up to do that? We're giving up Shackles maybe, or Sword of Body and Mind, which, like I said, is a nice backup plan. I think we should probably just commit, though, to being a Reanimator deck and take Servitude. Vesuvian Shapeshifter or Hymn to Turok. I think I like the Shapeshifter here. It's just another very good card. We can pick up Drowned Catacomb, Forbid, or Worn Power Stone. All of these are respectable picks, but I think I'm going to take Forbid. The main reason for that is that we don't have any counter spells yet, and I do want to have a few. And the second reason is, look at it. Look at the buyback cost. Discard? Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and try to combo off a bit there. We're really not looking necessarily to pick up those mana rocks so that we can cast stuff. I don't think that's really, you know, what our game plan is. We are, with 3 different reanimation spells, we are looking for reanimations. That's how we're going to cast these guys. All right, Go for the Throat or Repeal. I love Repeal. I don't know if we can take it over Go for the Throat. We need a Doomblade type effect, and Go for the Throat fits that bill. So yeah, I'm going to have to just take Go for the Throat. We need to be able to kill stuff. We've got a Chainer's Edict. A couple of spot removals, nice. If we get really lucky, we'll hit a Damnation or maybe a Black Sun Zenith or something along those lines. Haven't found use for this yet, but it's still there. Really hope we get either the Shriekmaw or the Muldrifter out of that pack. I wouldn't... It's possible, let's put it that way. I wouldn't count on it, but it is possible. And if either one of those comes comes back, I'll be quite pleased. Right now, I'd lean a little bit towards Muldrifter being the one that I'd like to see the most, as we're a little light on card draw here, and we will need, you know, the ability to get a bunch of cards out of the deal. But for now, I think, yeah, that's what we want to see. Cards that I'd love to see just period are like Bitter Blossom. Bitter Blossom and Opposition is just completely brutal for your opponent. Headhunter, not a big fan. Woodfall Primus is reasonable. It is a decent reanimation target because when it dies, you get it back anyway. But it's not really going to be castable in our deck at all. I'll still take it. You can never have too many 8-drops, right? What do we have? Nothing. No blue cards. 1 black card. Not much for us here, but I'll take Liliana's Reaver. It's fine. I mean, it's fine. Like, it just is what it is. It dies to a lot of stuff. Sometimes it doesn't die and it can take over. It's a pain for the opponent to deal with. We probably won't start it. It just doesn't really synergize with what we're doing. It costs 4 mana, which is clunky, and we're already kind of stacked up. Wow, all right. Liliana Vest comes back and ultimate price. Well, I'm going to take Liliana Vest. That's another discard outlet for us, and it's a really good one. Like, Liliana Vest just can take over the game anyway. So I like that a lot. That's a great pickup for us. I did not think that we were going to wheel Liliana. Not that she's like ridiculous in this cube. She's not, but I mean, she's still a planeswalker and a powerful one. And I like I said, I just wouldn't necessarily expect to wheel that. Some interesting stuff we have. Let's see, Tendrils, Mazavith. Yes, please. I like Mazavith a lot. Oh man, how many Titans can I put in here? I would play as many as possible. We're going to be playing Inferno Titan. I'm going to take Sorin's Thirst here. I want to be able to take out those early threats. Oh, man. I'm going to take Living Death because there are definitely some scenarios here where I can see Living Death actually making the cut, right? I mean, we've got repeatable discard effects with not this one. This one, we can just ditch all the big fatties in our hand. This one, and then we can use Living Death as a Wrath of God effect where our opponent's got 2 or 3 creatures out. We have like 1. We discard our hand, or the big fatties in all the creatures in our hand, and then we play Living Death. I don't know if that's going to be plan A, but that is something that we're going to keep in mind for sure. All right, well, the fun continues. This pack is absurd for us, just absolutely off the charts. Not only are there 2 different reanimation spells in this cube, in this pack, Reanimate's one of the better ones, although it does get a little sketchy when you get up to this range. Makeshift Mannequin can actually get Ulamog back, which is kind of insane, though I don't think we're actually going to end up running Ulamog unless we want to take Show and Tell, which should be very good in our deck. Along those same lines, there's Dungeon Geist, Phyrexian Metamorph, and Moloku sitting down here, and even Undermine, which would make the cut currently in our deck. So the question is, what do we want? Show and Tell looks pretty tempting to me here. I mean, it's a little sketchy because our opponent can kind of get the better of us, but I mean, I feel like if we put any of these on the battlefield, we should be in good shape against almost anything else. The fact is, though, I think we can wheel that. Like, I don't think we need to dedicate a pick to it. So I can take Metamorph, Moloku, or Reanimate here, and I think I can be just fine with it. Because I don't think we're going to wheel Reanimate. So I'm going to take Reanimate, and then we're going to wheel something out of that pack. Like, it doesn't really matter what it is, but we're going to get something back. All right, here's the big decision. Jace Beleren or Enclave Cryptologist. Crypto, one of my favorite cards ever. It's my favorite looter ever. It does give us another discard outlet while finding our pieces. It's pretty tough to pass, but Jace Beleren is just great. I mean, he just sits there and draws you cards, and we have discard outlets that we can draw. So it's not like we don't have the tools in the deck anyway, and Jace is more powerful than Enclave Cryptologist and a little bit less fragile. You know, Enclave is a little sketcy, but I am going to take it anyway. I think it's just really good in a deck like this, and I want to be able to discard. Ponder, Tar Pit. This is not a Wake Thrasher deck. Braids is an option, though I don't think it's one that we really want to take. I think it's between Tar Pit and Ponder. Ponder helps us find our stuff, but Tar Pit would actually be our first fixing. We don't have any mana fixing in our deck currently. Like, none of these actually do anything. And this is going to be more like a spell. Still, Ponder's quite strong in a deck like this because you do need pieces, right? And we don't have any real tutors yet. We've got Liliana, which can help us find pieces using her -2 ability, but isn't the same thing as Demonic Tutor or some, tutor that just goes and grabs exactly what you need. Yeah, I'll stick with Ponder here. I'm a little nervous, I won't lie, but I'll take it. Daze. How about that? Easy pick. Consecrated Sphinx definitely fits the bill of this Titan range card where, again, if I discard it and necromancy it, I'm pretty happy with that. And instead, if I end up just casting it, I'm pretty happy with that. So either way, I think it's good. Frantic Search is interesting. Draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Untap 3 lands. Basically, it lets you go off in one turn, but it costs you a card to do it. I mean, Frantic Search doesn't draw actual cards, like it doesn't draw you a card. It's just drawing 2, discard 2. So that's even money. And then you're getting rid of Frantic Search. So you're actually down a card on the transaction, but kind of doesn't matter if you happen to find exactly what you need. So I'm going to take it here, and decent chance that makes the cut here. All right. Unfortunately, not much for us, though. There is Sneak Attack. Actually, I'm windmilling Sneak Attack because we've got Blood Crypt. This doesn't count. We've already got a Blood Crypt. And if everything works out, that'll be fine. We don't want Eureka. We want our opponent to play Eureka, and we're just going to slam all this ridiculous stuff and destroy them. Channel's a little annoying, but it doesn't go well in our deck, even if we could cast it. So not relevant, Your Honor. Death Cloud. Death Cloud's interesting. Very clunky. We don't really have the mana ramp to get us to where we need to be for Death Cloud, I guess. I could take Graven Cairns, which can give us access to double black and even a little bit of red for either Inferno Titan or Sneak Attack. Yeah, I like that. That's a good pickup, I think. Man, Mesmeric Fiend I like a lot in a deck like this because it buys you time and it kind of makes your opponent fuss around with stuff that they don't want to fuss around with. But Steam Vents opens up this Sneak Attack even further, and I want to play the Sneak Attack, so I'm going to take it. Nothing like wheeling Moloku, Makeshift Mannequin, and Show and Tell all in the same pack very casually. Moloku plus opposition is absurd. It just basically ends the game if you get both of those cards down. That being said, I think we have enough game enders here, and maybe I can just Show and Tell to try to get, the whole Show and Tell, the Sneak and Show package together here. I think I'm just going to do that. I just don't think that we need to get cute with any of this stuff. This can go away. This goes away, and this goes away, but we do have 3 red sources here that we can use for Sneak Attack and or Inferno Titan, and I like that a lot. And here's a Polluted Delta that can get one of them too, so that's a really lucky pickup there. That just realistically just shouldn't be in the pack probably. Well, must be nice to be me, and it is. Creeping Tar Pit, get in there. Not that it's like ridiculous for this deck. Wow. Because why not? I mean, Gargadon's fine, but this is the literal perfect tri-land for our deck. We'll play Gatekeeper, but probably not main deck it. Yeah, we've got too much stuff. I'm going to cut one of these 2 fatties here. I'm probably just going to cut the Terastodon in favor of Woodfall Primus. Woodfall Primus is really sweet with reanimation type stuff because like you spend... I guess I'll take the more powerful one. And Night of Infamy, even pretty decent here too. So that's 37 minus, that's 30. So we need to make 1 million cuts from this. So yeah, we're going to have to streamline this deck down as much as possible. So let's try to see what cards we have here that are, that go towards the reanimation strategy, that just get us there as quickly and as best as possible. So Imp does, Reanimate obviously does, this doesn't. This is removal creatures. This does creature removal. Obviously, there's a creature removal. Yes, yes. Creature. This does. This is in the maybe pile. This obviously does. This does this, kind of this. I think it's actually worth it to play him. This does, no. Yeah. Okay, and then this one goes down here. All right. So with this package, we have the most streamlined way to get fatties into our graveyard and onto the battlefield. So we've got discard outlets with Cryptologist, Putrid Imp, Una's Prowler, and Liliana Vess. We've got recursion fatties with Consecrated Sphinx, Inferno Titan, Primus, Grizzlebrand, and Ulamog. We've got ways to cheat them into play with Reanimate, Animate Dead, Necromancy, Show and Tell, Diabolic Servitude, and Sneak Attack. So we are well set up here to just make the world blow up. Now the question is, how do we want to frame this? Well, we want to make it into a control type deck, and we need some value cards in here too. So let's take a look at what we can do to make that happen. Mana War, you're in there. Great slowdown card, right? Just slows down our opponents. Control Magic is a card that we just can't ignore. It's just too good. I like Student and I like Shapeshifter. So I think either one of those or both of them are probably good here. I guess I'll play Sakashima's Student over Shapeshifter if I have to choose, just because this one's a cheaper clone. It's just only costs 4. I mean, you can do Shapeshifter on the installment plan and kind of do shenanigans with it. But really, this deck is, I think, a lot more about Enters the Battlefield effects, and that requires paying the full amount. And so Student's going to get the nod there. And we can also just get random value like Mana War, comes down, bounces something, attacks. We Student in something, copy something else, replay Mana War, and just put our opponent back a lot of time. All right, we've got 2 more slots, and I think opposition still takes one, even though we're going to be at a fairly low creature count overall. It doesn't take much. It really doesn't. Like, you just play this card, you get 2 creatures on the battlefield, and you just benefit hugely. They either lock down your opponent's cards, you can lock them out of mana if you get in the right spot. I mean, I think I have so much respect for opposition just as a raw power level card. Our last card, I think, is going to be Chainer's Edict. I really want this Go for the Throat as well, though. This is where things get a little sketchy because, you know, we're kind of piling on top of each other as far as what it is exactly that I want to be doing with this deck. Can't cast Woodfall Primus, but that's not a big deal. We need to be able to deal with random weird permanents, and Primus does a great job of killing, well, anything. You know, planeswalkers, pesky lands, artifacts, other enchantments. You know, like sometimes you get opposition locked, but if you can get a Primus into play, it can really help you out. Let's get our lands sorted while I ponder what we should do with the rest there. Steam Vents, Blood Crypt, this thing, and one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I like this. I like 5 fatties, and I like the fact that we could realistically cast 2 of them. Especially, you know, Consecrated Sphinx is one that's very easy for us to cast, really. But man, we do need to just get 1 card out of here. I mean, Frantic Search is not a card that I'm a big fan of, but it does seem just very, very good in this deck. I could cut opposition. Can I show and tell it into play? Yes, I can also show and tell it into play. I have a really hard time cutting opposition even in a 10 creature deck. I mean, the ideal deck for it's green with a bunch of elves and that kind of thing. And this is far from that deck, but man, opposition is so good at playing defense and keeping you alive for a long time, and we just need time. I mean, if we get time, we're going to go off with this deck. I could cut Chainer's Edict or Go for the Throat. I guess I'll cut Go for the Throat, and we'll bring it in out of the board. Chainer's Edict works well just with our discard stuff, because sometimes the game goes long. You Enclave Cryptologist, draw, discard a Chainer's Edict, and then way down the line you can get them. All right, so let's do this. I forgot about Mazavith. I do need to cut one other thing if we want to run Mazavith. which I think we do. Maybe not. Maybe we just don't run it. No, I think it's just too good to leave out. It basically acts as a removal spell. So I think I'll just cut Edict and run Maze of Ith over it. This way, we're really focused on just going over the top of our opponents or maybe copying their thing. Pretty streamlined here, though. Like we're kind of all in on Reanimator, but that's kind of where I want to be anyway. All right, so let's suggest here. We do not need any of these. Let's see where this puts us as far as mana goes. And let's do the thing that I like to do as well. We've got a couple of minutes left here. So Imp, this is a turn 5 play, probably Ponder. Animate Dead goes over here. Show and Tell actually is a 3-drop. Forbids way later. These are all fine. Control Magic, Servitude, Opposition can go way late. And then these are, you know, or maybe not opposition, but like this guy goes way over here and way over here. And, you know, these aren't really getting cast. Okay. So we need an even mix of blue and black early in the game. So we can't really heavily skew one way or the other. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish, 7, 8, 9, 10 black sources. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, this looks perfect. Okay, let's see what our hopefully brutal Reanimator deck can do.